Cool. This is the NWC Show, episode 34, and if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey bitches, it's me, Wrestle Beach, Emily Hayden.
Cool introduction. So the first question I want to ask is, how does it feel to be on WWE Network? How does, because if it was me, as I always say to the guys I've had on for ICW and stuff like that, I would have it on constantly. I'd be sending it to my friends every single day. How does it feel for you? How does it? Is it weird?
It's very weird. It's very surreal as well. I remember in particular one conversation that I had. It was with my dad, and he's the man that got me into wrestling to begin with. So he messaged me and he was like, "Hey, have you got your login to the WWE Network so I can watch your match?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I sent him it over, and just all honesty, right now, my dad is he's very critical when it comes to my wrestling matches, because like there's been occasions where he's came to see me wrestle live, for example, and he's like, you could have done this a little bit better, and I know you could do this better. So I sent him the match, and I figured like he'll tell me what he thinks, like his honest opinion. And literally about 10-15 minutes later I got a phone call, and I answer the phone, and I'm like, "Hello," and he's like, wow. So I got to have like this very cool emotional moment with my dad, where he was like, "I remember watching with you when you were a wee girl, WWE, and now I get to see my daughter's on the WWE Network." So that was pretty awesome. Like, and he was like, I'm so proud," and there was a couple of tears shed, and so yeah, that's, I would say, probably my highlight, being able to say that I'm on the network, just that moment with my dad. So, but other than that, very surreal.
I know. I think it would be like everybody says, like it's just weird. Like I was on the Thunderdome, the Saturday night's main event, whatever it's called. So it was like it was recorded it for SmackDown, and I'm like front row center. You can see me. I've got a Razor Ramon hoodie on, and I shared that to everybody. I was like, "Look, I was on WWE. Like this is my day made." So if I was on working on it, I would be like, "You need to sit down and watch this. Everybody has to watch it," because I'd be like sending it to people and
just be like, "Shh, I'm on the network. Let's watch."
try to watch myself here. It's a surreal moment. I know I can do that when I'm on YouTube, but it's different on the network. YouTube, it's two different things. So the first question we always normally start off with is, I had to ask about the WWE first, but so the first question is, what got you into wrestling? What was that moment you were like, "This is my jam. This is what I want to do for"?
Oh, well, like I said, I grew up a tomboy. Like, for anyone that doesn't know this, I grew up a tomboy. My dad and my brother were my best friends. So they introduced me, as I previously said, they introduced me to WWE beforehand. So I distinctly remember the moment where the television caught my eye when they were watching it, and it was Chris Jericho making his debut on Raw, and he was having the back and forth with The Rock. And I just remember at that moment, I stopped whatever I was doing. I might have been acting out the Dark Phoenix saga of my Barbie dolls at this point. I don't know. And I looked at the TV and I was like, "What is this? Like, what is going on? This is great." And then that was me. I was hooked on it for the entertainment value from that aspect. But when it comes to the moment where I was like, "Right, okay, I want to be a wrestler," it was when I saw Lita for the first time, and she came out, and I was like, "Oh wow, there's girls on this too. This is great." But I didn't know that she was a wrestler. So then the moment I saw her climb to the top rope and do the top rope moonsault, I was like, "Oh, girls can do this too. Oh wow!" And I was just like, when I grow up, I want to be a wrestler.
That's such a cool story. Mine was like, the minute I saw it, I was like, "I want to do this. Why, how do I do this? Like, this is so cool. I just want to do this." And that led me to it was everything I'd done, just was wrestling, training, eating, sleeping, watching it. It's all I'd done for like a long period of my life, like 5, 6, 7 years was just, that's all I'd done, which is weird to look back. Like, people's childhood's always like, "Oh," my mates were like, "Oh, we'll go watch Celtic play, go to football and stuff." I'm like, "No, I need to go to wrestling training, and I need to go watch this match, need to go catch up on this." And I was like taking notes and stuff. And they're like, "It's so shit watching it with you because you've got like a notepad out, you're writing stuff down." I'm like, "I want to know how to do this. This is like going into my job." But
what was the moment for you then where you watched and you're like, wow, like what was the moment that caught your eye?
seeing Sting, that when he came out and it was just like the face paint, the over the moment. I was like 8 or something when I first seen him, like 99, so I was like 7, 8, and I was just like, that's my guy. Like, I just remember everything. I had like bags of action figures full of him. Like, I just loved this guy. And like one of my goals now, obviously not wrestling anymore, but doing this, is like to interview Sting at some point, which I probably will never happen, but it's a goal for me. But,
I mean, if you put it into the universe, it'll manifest itself. So fingers crossed for you.
That's what I keep telling myself. Hopefully it works out. But that was like my moment, and ever since then it was like, then when you get older, you find out like ECW, to kind of more hardcore stuff, which I used to try and do, which after I first like couple of times trying it, I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'll stick to like normal stuff, because it really hurts sometimes. You're like, calm down. So obviously, how long have you been wrestling? How long since you started training?
Oh wow. We're going all the way back to September 2012. So I've been training for about 9 years. If we're talking in terms of how long ago it was since my in-ring debut, that was May 2014. So about 7 years ago.
For me, when I first started wrestling training, it was like a way back in 2005.
Oh,
4 or
wow.
5, like 3, something. I was really young. I was like 13, 12 when I first went to wrestling training. So it's like from then, and then like when people are like, oh, it was ages ago, like 2012, and I'm like, oh, I must be really old. But I remember turning up like that kind of first day when I was a kid. So it was out in Linwood in the middle of nowhere. I had to go myself, and I was just like, this is like weird, because it was a garage back then. And then when you look how far wrestling's came now, you're like, got all these training equipment, and it's like fancy. Back then it was like if the SWA had a show on, you couldn't use the training ring. It was like that was it. It was it was the same kind of thing. But what was your kind of experience with like the first time going? Were you like shitting yourself the minute you were heading up to there? Because I just remember having unbelievable nerves. I never slept the night before and stuff like that. What was your kind of first day experience?
That's exactly what I was like. I couldn't sleep the night before. It was, the anxiety was real. It was for anyone that might not know this, like I suffer from really bad anxiety, so I couldn't sleep the night before. And then I just remember I had like good nerves as well. Like, don't get me wrong, but it was on the build up to the first day, and I remember I walked through the doors and there was my coach TJ Rage. And he was, if you've not seen TJ, he's just this big, like, burly, intimidating looking guy. He's just like why he's doing like that sort of a thing. And I was just like, oh, what have I got myself into? And it was literally all these boys except for me. I'm just standing there, hello. And when I first started training as well, Kenny Williams was there. He was just about to debut at this point. So I walked in, I saw these guys, and then I saw the mats, because I was trained on mats. I wasn't trained with a ring. The ring was seen as a special privilege for us. And it was when you'd set up the ring at a show, that's when you would get your opportunity to go in and have a little bit of practice before some of the talent might get in. So you had to earn that privilege. That's what it was seen as. So when I walked in and I saw the mats, I was like, okay. and then TJ was like, oh, so are you here to do wrestling training? And I was like, yeah, because I was so shy. And I was that shy. I only watched the first day. I was so scared to take part. And so I watched the boys and what they were doing, and TJ took me through like what you sort of do at the training sessions and such. And then at the end of the day, he turned around to me and he says, so is this something that you're interested in? And I was, yes, this is definitely something I'm interested in. And I came back the following week, and that's been me ever since. I actually took part, I should say as well, I actually took part the following week. So, and I've never looked back. But yeah, it was scary the first day, especially because I was the only girl. And like I say, I was just, oh, what have I got myself into?
I could only imagine what it was. I remember turning up, and I think I was the youngest person there by like 10 years. Everybody was like in their 20s, and I was like 13. So I was like Nobody wanted. They were like, "What is this kid here? Like, why is he?" And I'm an extremely competitive person, even back then. So it was like we were doing like sprints, running around like the industrial estate and stuff like that. And I had to win. Like and we done like some shoot wrestling stuff. I had to win. Like I'm the most competitive person like in the world. So I was like, I need to win. So it's like me shoot wrestling this like 26-year-old guy. I was like 7 stone at the time. He's like 14, and I'm like, trying to take him down, trying my hardest. He's just like pick me up and put me down. He's like, what are you doing, man? Like, I'm still going to try. I can. But,
just like hanging off his leg, like ah.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what it was. It was a comical kind of fun couple of days, but I fell in love with it. And back then, it was like you started at 8 in the morning and finished at like 4 at night, which was just like for a kid was insane on a Sunday because where it was is in the middle of nowhere. Like Linwood's not really. I always describe it to people as like an industrial estate with some flats. Like there's nothing really else there. But I just remember going over there on a Sunday and just beasting it all the time. Then I started going more. But there I met, what wasn't it? I was at a show. I met one of my best friends, and he's from Africa, but he was born in Russia, and he was like 6'10", 6'11", so he was like just under 7 feet, and he was huge. He was like a bodybuilder. And the minute I saw him, he was just like, "You're very small," and I was like, "You're very tall." And then he just burst into laughing, and I was it. It was like this friendship for years, and he started training me, so he was in the business longer than me. And that's how I kind of started. So when I started doing matches and stuff like that, till I broke my neck, which everybody knows the story in this. I slipped off the side of the ring, totally my fault, and broke a neck. Like it wasn't even at a show. It was like just the ring was set up. I was playing around a little bit, testing things out, and I just slipped off the side of the ring myself. So it wasn't even in a match or nothing cool. Just me being clumsy.
Of all the ways for like just the potential career to end. Wow.
And then I didn't go to the doctors for 6 weeks. So the guy was like, "Oh, like you've broke your neck. You should have came here sooner. Maybe we could have helped you a little bit better." And I was like, "Well, it's done now." Like, and then I fell out. That way, I fell out of love with wrestling. I was like, I can't watch this anymore, and I just kind of didn't do anything for a couple of years. Started watching it, and then I've obviously got this channel. But that was my end to my career when I broke my neck. It's just like the side of the ring, outside the ropes, we got standing, and I don't know what I can't even remember what I was trying to do. I think I was trying to like jump off the rope to the ground. I went to do it, and then I was like, you know what, I'll just leave it and I'll come out. Walked away and just slipped, landed in the top of my head. So it wasn't even like doing a cool move or anything. So it was just me being so clumsy. And a lot of people are like, how can you be that clumsy? And I'm like, trust me, I'm like the person you go to the pub with and you don't give a pint to. Like somebody needs to take my stuff to the table because I'll start shaking and stuff like that, which is terrible.
Oh, wow.
But it's a long time ago now. I'm actually perfectly fine now. But like the worst thing is
you're okay now. Like that's the main thing. Wow.
And the worst thing is when I talk to like you guys that still do it, I get that itch. Like it's an unbelievable, like it's like an unscratchable itch. I'm like, I would love to get back in and do it. Like I would like to. I feel I could go, but I know like my injury just wouldn't allow me to do it. But it's like that. It's like I have a really bad itch to get it. So that's why I'm doing these podcasts a lot more because it makes me feel like I'm still taking part. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I totally get that. I love that as well. That you've taken this negative and you've turned it into a positive. That's a really admirable thing.
Mind you, I'm like 29 now, so it was like 11 years ago when I done it. So I was like 18, 19, 11, 10 years ago, whatever age I'm at. And I just remember being like so young and being like, oh, that's my life over with. That was like there was nothing else. There was no other career path, and it was just like, what do I do now? Like there's nothing to do, which is horrible at that time. But it's pretty cool being able to do this. So kind of moving on from obviously me talking about my neck being broke, which everybody always says, like you mention it all the time. And I'm like, because there's a big point in my life breaking my neck.
I didn't know that, so.
It's actually fine now. The only thing that happens is if it's really cold, it clicks a lot, which is disgusting. Like if I look to the side, it starts clicking, which is disgusting. But it's perfectly fine. So with kind of today's wrestling world community product, what's something that you don't like about it? What's something that you dislike about wrestling today?
Oh wow, that's a very good question. To be perfectly honest, it's like a positive and a negative. Like, I feel like we're spoiled for choice these days. You know what I mean? Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, But it's I find myself at that point now where there's so much wrestling to watch, I don't have time to watch it all, and that's the only thing I can see as a negative for myself right now. Where because like for example, my brother, he watches AEW, so he'll message me and he'll be like, "Oh, so this happened and this happened, and this happened," and I'm like, "Oh damn! Like I can't believe I missed that." Like so I need to catch up on that, and then I'm trying to play catch up on everything else, and it's just because there's so much going on. It's like sometimes I'm kind of like the last person to find out anything, so I get things spoiled for me, and I'm like, "Oh man, I can't believe I missed that."
No, I totally get what you mean. It is a positive as well that how much wrestling there is, but it's such a negative. Like the best thing about the kind of COVID shutdown stuff is I was able to start this channel, focus more on watching wrestling. But even doing a channel when I review stuff, it's like there's too much to review. Like
Yeah,
MLW, NWA, AEW,
yeah,
ICW. It's just all like there's far too much. I just need to like narrow it down to like a select few, which is it's horrible because I'm like I feel like I'm letting people. I'm no like I don't review ICW shows. I don't. The only reason I don't do it is because I get far too many Scottish wrestlers on here, and I don't want to slate. I don't want to slate their match, but like, oh, it was terrible. But I don't want to just demotivate them. But I feel like it's people need to watch it, so that's why I try and do more Scottish wrestlers on the podcast because it's such a great scene at the minute. Plus, there's so much wrestling in Scotland. Like it's insane at the minute.
oh
So
yeah, 100%.
on the flip side of that is the positive. Would you still say that the positive is how much wrestling there is just now?
Oh yeah. Like we're at a point now where that's what I mean. It's like a double-edged sword, but it's like it's great that we're spoiled for choice with wrestling. It's like we get to see all the different styles that there is, and it can potentially influence a lot of future wrestlers and which styles or paths that they want to take. But like I said, with the negative, spoiled for choice though. So it's like if I was to sit down, I would need to actually be like, right, so I'm going to watch New Japan on Monday, and I'm going to watch Stardom on Tuesday, and then I'm going to watch AEW on Wednesday, and then I'm going to watch SmackDown on Thursday, and I'm going to watch Raw on Friday, and I would need to do it like that, and it's yeah, but like I said, we're talking about the positives, so yeah, like it's a good thing because it makes it more. I'm trying to think of the word accessible for people. So it's maybe the British wrestling style, like World of Sport isn't your cup of tea, and it's like, oh, maybe I like the lucha style, so I'll go and watch Lucha Underground. Maybe I like more of the strong style. I'll go and I'll watch like New Japan. Maybe I like that American entertainment value. I'll go and I'll watch WWE. Maybe I like the indie side of things, so I'll watch NXT or AEW. So it's great that if there's a certain style of wrestling that you like, you can go, right, well, I'll go and I'll watch this company, or I'll go and I'll watch this show. And it's a brilliant way to showcase all these wrestlers, because if you think about, like, when I was a kid, for example, the only thing I knew was WWE. So then, with the streaming services these days, it's opened your eyes to all these different styles, all these different characters. And it's insane to think about the amount of talent that there is out in the world that you just didn't know until all these streaming services came to light.
No, 100%. Like I think without like the WWE network, like obviously I remember towards the end of WCW wasn't like the main part of it, but going back, it's cool to see like the NWO forming. You've got the old NWA stuff, like I said, ICW, the independent stuff, ECW, and then you've got Impact Wrestling's one. And sometimes as well, when you're doing that, you're like, okay, I want to catch up on old WCW, and it's like, okay, but I need to sacrifice that to watch this new show, and then you're like, I need to watch normal TV at some point as well. Like I can't just miss it and that. So it's so cool.
And then that notepad that you had comes in handy, where it's like, right, okay, so on Monday I'm gonna write this down and remember to watch that.
I've literally got that in my phone. That's what like I've got like lists of like, okay, so Monday we watch this and then this, and there's like times and stuff. It just feels like I've just created like a TV schedule for myself, because I need to do it. This week's insane. Obviously, it's WrestleMania week, which is got NXT, WrestleMania, AEW, Impact, the Hall of Fame. I'm doing like watch-alongs for matches, these podcasts. It's literally, I've got wrestling every day this week. There's like 10, 15 hours of wrestling, which is insane. I'll be sleeping a lot next week. So where do you kind of see yourself going? Do you want to go? Do you have like aspirations to go to like AEW, WWE and stuff like that? Or are you happy just kind of building that kind of independent scene at the minute?
Honestly, anyone that says that they are anyone that says that they didn't originally have the idea of going to WWE, WTNA, etc., they'd be lying. And the reason I say originally is because sometimes you've seen it before. Sometimes you get people that are happy to be the weekend warriors and whatnot, and that's perfectly fine. If you want to be a weekend warrior, that's great. If you wanna go to WWE, that's great. If you wanna go to AEW, that's great. It's the fact that there's this choice now. There's options, and I think that's amazing. But in terms of my career, yeah, I would love to go to WWE. I would love to go to AEW. And I feel very fortunate as a wrestler right now, but I have that option that I can make these decisions. It's not just I can either go here and that's it. But for now, I'm very happy building myself up on the independents. But the dream has always been to go to Japan. I would love to go to Japan. I'd love to follow in the footsteps of all those Scottish women that came before me, like Kaylee Ray, Viper, Marissa Ma, Jayla Dark, all these amazing women. I would love to follow in their footsteps and be able to cement my legacy in there somewhere, so that someone else is saying, "Oh, I'd love to be like Emily Hayden and go to Japan." Like, I'd love that. That's been a dream of mine for a long time. Because I'm a little bit of a weeb, so.
No, it's insane, like the amount of good women talent in wrestling at the minute as well. So I've had plenty of Scottish women wrestlers on here, and I always say, like, I just see it as wrestlers. Like, I don't, like, wait, if you're in the ring and it's a terrible match, it's not because it's a women's match or a guy's match, it's just because it's wrestling. Like, I don't really care if it's a woman, a man. It's just the way I grew up. It's just like, cool, you put in a good match. Plus, women's wrestling was so bad when we were growing up. No bad, like, not in a bad way, but like bra and panties matches and stuff like that. I hated them. And as a teenage boy, you'd be like, oh, that's something you should like. I'm like, no, I don't want to watch this. I want to watch wrestling. And then it's cool to see how women wrestling's so good. So right now, Rhea Ripley's like my favourite wrestler ever. Like,
just while you say that, like, I went to Twitter this morning because I love Rhea. I went to Twitter this morning, and the first thing I seen was Ash Costello confirmed that she was going to sing My Brutality live at Mania, and I was like, yes! I've been waiting for this for so long, and I'm just like proper hyped for it. So I'm very excited to see this live performance, and the fact that Rhea's finally getting that awesome Mania moment. So I'm very excited for that. Plus, I love Ash Costello, so I'm so hyped for this song.
100%. I actually didn't know. I went to your social media this morning to kind of get stuff sorted for tonight, like the kind of find the links and stuff like that. And then I seen it, and I was like, put Mark to it. Like, I was like, oh my god, this is insane. This is gonna be really cool. But that's like my favourite wrestler now, and like everybody always goes, oh, but it's like women's wrestling. I'm like, that's not really like I would say they're better than the men at the minute because, well, stories are a little bit better, especially the men's wrestling just now in WWE and stuff like that is a little bit samey, if that makes sense. Like, I know it sounds cheeky, but
I totally get what you're saying. The thing I actually quite like right now about WWE in terms of when we're talking about the evolution of the women's matches is where you've got women like Rhea Ripley, and it's not a case of, I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say this, but it's like just because you were saying back in the day it was a bra and panties match, or you'd see the mud wrestling or things like that. So it's like now it's not who's the prettier one, who's the sexier one. It's more, oh, well, I want that championship and that's that. And we're actually getting more stories like that. Or like, well, or like a Sasha Banks, it's like, well, I'm the boss, I'm the best, etc. And it's not just that, oh, well, I'm prettier, so I deserve the belt.
100%. Like, I just remember how awkward it was. Like, it was, if people have to experience it, go on the network and go back to that point, because it was just so cheesy. And it was like, I was watching like Raw from 2006 earlier, and it was like, oh, they've got an evening gown match coming up, and I was like, oh, this is so awkward compared to like where we are now to then. And it's like not even that long ago. 2006 wasn't years ago. It was years ago, but it wasn't like over. It wasn't 20 years ago. That's what I would say is old. But it wasn't. It was just so awkward to see it, and then now it's so cool to see how fun it is, and it surely must be proud for yourself as well to look at Scottish wrestling, which is
Mm-hmm.
full of insanely talented just women just out there like killing it. Like I enjoy watching just it's insane.
100%. Because like I feel very fortunate right now as a wrestler, in particular in the Scottish team, because there are so many talented women that are working their way up the ranks. Like, for example, you've got a Kaylee. It's like, look at Kaylee, look at Viper. I could rhyme off so many girls right now, and I'm actually going to do that. Here we go. Molly, Casey, Rosie, Angel, Brody. You know, that's just at the top of my head. There's so many more talented girls out there, and it's very exciting to see what it's like now compared to what it was like years ago. Because I remember hearing stories from like Carmel, for example, with Carmel and Sarah and Nikki, and they were all saying like, oh well, it was always just Sarah versus Carmel or Nikki versus Sarah, and it was just kind of like the same four girls in rotation. Whereas now, it's you've got that option. You're again the fortunate of being spoiled for choice. So it's like you could see me versus Molly, or you could see an Angel Hayes versus Casey Owens match, and it's every company's got the opportunity to do something different with that. So it's a very exciting time to be a Scottish wrestler.
100%. I think it's cool how a lot of people say that wrestling's kind of dying out globally, like it's on a downward turn, but it feels like Scotland's just kind of leading the way. Like it's not going out. We're taking it because there's so many insanely talented just Scottish wrestlers just now, which is there's so many young guys that are coming up just now. Like under 35, I think pretty much the whole scene's like under 40, 35 is just insane. Like they're all just pretty much insanely talented wrestlers, which is so makes you kind of proud to be Scottish and watch all these guys go out there and kill it.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I always feel that little twinge of pride whenever I see NXT UK and I see Kaylee as the forever champion, you know, or I'll see like Viper Piper Niven getting her wee cool moments, or then I see an Isla Dawn, and it's awesome just to see all these cool moments that they're getting to have, and the whole world is getting to see it, and they're getting to realise that Scotland's got a lot of talent going on, you know.
And I think it's so insane because it was like, you know, when I was kind of first starting this, I'd done a podcast, maybe even it started this year, and the guy was like, "Oh, Roddy Piper was from Scotland," and I was like, "No, he was like Canadian." And I was like, "There is like lots of other guys," and then I felt like went off on like a poor Scottish tangent. I was like, "No, you've got like all these guys." Like we went through all this like stuff, and then I was like, "Sorry for taking control of your podcast. Just continue." Roddy Piper, Scottish, right? That's cool if you want to keep that, but. That's like what we had for years. It was just like, oh, the only Scottish player. Then you had the Highlanders, the early kind of 2000 time in WWE, which was kind of awkward as well. But then you look now, you've got Drew, who's pretty much top of the world. And then you look at all the independents, it's full of just great Scottish wrestlers, which is proud to be kind of a Scottish person at the minute.
100%, yes, that's Scottish pride.
So, obviously, you're kind of saying you would like to go to Japan and stuff like that as well. What's the goal kind of over the next, say, 2 years or something? Would it be to kind of be like, okay, we're going to get into Japan in 2 years, or are you kind of just going to work towards maybe getting more known in the UK scene, or what's your kind of goal over the next couple of years?
So I have a couple of goals in mind. Like, so the first one is I would like to be a regular. Like, I find myself, obviously not now because of like COVID, but like, but I was getting that momentum where I was becoming a regular in a lot of Scottish companies. So I feel like the next step now is to try and get myself to be more of a regular in a lot of English companies. And just try and work more so frequently all around the UK rather than just Scotland. But yeah, within the next 2 years, I would love to be able to say that I'm going to Japan for so long, and as I say, being able to have that cool moment of being like, yeah, I get to follow in the footsteps of all these awesome ladies. But I remember last year. last year, and I'm laughing because you know why. I set myself the goal because I was at this point in terms of my wrestling where I was like, great, I know what I'm doing character wise, I know where I'm working towards with the character. Now's time to focus on my wrestling ability within the ring, and I want to show people I'm not just a one trick pony where I can just do a character and that's that. I want to show people that I can actually wrestle, and 2020 was supposed to be the year of like when I was actually and I'm laughing now because of course it's like I say, yeah, 2020 is going to be the year where I show people I can wrestle, and that's when the world ends. Figures, like I've jinxed it, you know. But yeah, that was initially my plan for 2020, just to actually show people my wrestling ability and putting more work in towards that. But I will say I've been very, very fortunate when it comes to the ICW shows where I've actually been able to show my wrestling that way. So the swings and roundabouts, you know, I didn't get to show a lot of what I could do last year. I only got to show from like January until March, and then the world ended. But then tapings cropped up, and I got to technically show the world that I'm getting better at my wrestling. So that was pretty cool. So, but yeah, I better not jinx us like that again in the future. You know, when I go, I know, I'll show everyone I can wrestle. And then it's, I don't know, a bomb will get dropped on us or something.
I think everybody had that kind of 2019 to 2020 New Year was like, this is going to be my year. And then it was like 3 months in, everything was going pretty good. You're like, this is pretty insane. Then it's like, okay, no, guys, we need to go back inside. And I was like, what? This isn't happening. But it gave me an opportunity to start this. So obviously, like you say, try and make something out of a negative situation. It was obviously a terrible time. And I always say the reason I started this, I couldn't listen to my kids for 24 hours a day. I was like, I need to watch wrestling. Like, I'm working and stuff like that. Leave me alone. Which is it's a good escape. But obviously, you're kind of talking about COVID there. How have you found kind of the COVID period being a wrestler? Has it been awkward? Like, you're kind of in that ring with nobody there? Because I remember doing shows. I know this is different. Doing shows when there's like pre-show of a pre-show. There was like nobody there. One person like just like eating popcorn or something. And you're like pure selling to them. But like, how weird is it to kind of be in the ring and there's nobody to play off with?
I have to say it was very strange at first, but then when I spoke with Scott and Dallas, and they kind of explained it to me, and the way it was put towards me was, yeah, you've not got a crowd, okay, that's fine. However, you've got the crowd watching you through a camera, so as long as you're interacting with that camera and you're playing with that camera, you'll be fine. And I was like, oh, okay, I never thought of it like that. And I'm like, right away, I walked out like that and I started talking to the camera, and that was me. I was in the zone again, you know. But it does make for an interesting challenge in that aspect, because like I spent like the first half of 2020 bored, like you know what it was like. You're sitting on the couch and you're like, oh, I guess I'll just binge this on Netflix then, and you binge that, and it's like, guess I'll binge this show now. And then you go, right, I can't do that anymore. So I tried to keep myself creative. So I started doing like silly promos, and I took that time to actually finally start my gaming channel. And I felt like that was all helping towards the skills which I needed to take me from like here to here for my promos. So I got to work on that for the first half of the year. So I try to think of that as the positive, where I got to get the creative juices flowing. I got to try and think outside the box, in which what I could do from within the house for promos, and a lot of mad stuff came about. And then I got to spend the last half of the year accepting that new challenge of there's no crowd, right? How am I gonna work a crowd? And I managed to figure that out, and then like I say, I got the opportunity to show the wrestling skills that I'm starting to build up even more so. So yeah, I just took it as a challenge, and I was just like, right, let's go, let's do this, and yeah, I was fortunate where I was like, okay, I can actually make this work.
No, I think it's cute to watch all the guys on like ICW and stuff like that. They are making it really like work really well, because most of them say the same thing as what you've just said. Like, it's a cool experience to learn how to work the camera and stuff like that. But obviously, they want the crowd there. The first time's awkward, and they're like, it's going to be awkward when the crowd comes back. You're still working the camera, the crowd's there, and it's going to be like, oh, this is weird and different and new. But I think it's going to be insane for you guys as well, being there just when crowds first start to come back, because everybody's just going to be buzzing just to kind of be outside for more than a couple of hours that you're allowed, or whatever it is just now.
Yeah, I know, right?
Which I think a lot of people, when I talk to the Americans and stuff like that, they're always like, oh, it's okay. And like a lot of guys I've had on in Florida, and they're like, oh, we've not really had anything. And I'm like, oh, look at you. I'm like, at some point we weren't even allowed like outside, like unless it was like for a run. And it was, who wants to go out and go for a run? It's we're in Scotland. It's not like you can go out for like today. It was sunny and snowing. That makes no sense why that can happen.
I was literally just about to say that. I said it's fine for everyone else except us in Scotland, because it's like you can go for a run and you look out the window and it's like, right, I'm playing Russian roulette with what the weather's going to be like today. And you look out the window and you go, oh, it's April and it's snowing, so I guess I'm not going for a run then.
Okay, I was going to go this morning. I've got it planned for tomorrow now, because I was like, you know what, I'll get up, I'll go for a run. It's nice sunny day. Walked outside, it was like -3, and I was like, I'm just going back inside. It's too cold to be outside at this time in the morning. But try to explain that to people. It's like Scottish weather's like you need to take like a winter jacket, a summer jacket, change your clothes in a bag. You don't know what's going to happen. Like
you're literally in survival mode. Like when it comes to living in Scotland, it's like if you can survive Scotland, you can survive anywhere.
Aye, pretty much. If you can handle it here for like the most of your life, then go wherever you want. You deserve it. Free pass anywhere you go. So, kind of coming into kind of the end of the kind of podcast, is the first question we always ask is, who's your favourite wrestler?
My all-time favourite wrestler.
All-time favourite.
Did I have to just narrow it down to one, or can I rhyme off a couple?
You can do a couple.
Oh, okay, right, good. Because I was like, if I have to, it's like Sophie's Choice, where I'm just like, but right away, 4 male wrestlers, in fact, that I can think of off the top of my head: Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero, Chavo Guerrero, Edge. Those are my top 4 wrestling guys. In terms of women, Lita, Trish, Victoria, Chyna.
But see, and Chavo Guerrero's a guy that I've never really got into, and I remember him like a couple of times in WCW, like going back and watching it, but I never got into him. And everybody keeps saying like you need to check his stuff out, and I don't know why, I just never got into him. I've never really sat down and went and checked it out.
He's so good, and it's I got the honour of like meeting him once as well, and he's the sweetest guy ever. And like I remember I actually tagged them in a thing, like I think it was like a month or 2 ago, and I was like, oh, it was like 2-3 years ago, whatever it was, today that I got to meet Chavo Guerrero, and he commented on it. It was like, it was lovely meeting you, and I was like, it's Chavo. I still have that reaction every time, like, Chavo.
One of my worst ones is when I was much younger, I was going to go meet the Hardy Boys with my mum. She took me to like, a signing for it. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, Jeff Hardy didn't turn up. I don't know what it was. Maybe he was injured or something. And it was only Matt Hardy. And Jeff Hardy was my favourite Hardy. Like, I think most people... Mm-hmm. Matt Hardy's good as well. No bashing Matt Hardy, is really good. But everybody liked Jeff Hardy. And he wasn't there. I remember he signed a thing for me, which I've still got to this day. And I was just so disappointed. I was like... this is so shit, like the shit Hardy signed this, and I feel so bad. Like I actually spoke to him when I was younger and stuff like that. Now I would mark out meeting Matt Hardy just now, but back then I was just like, this is so shit. This is, why did you bring me here? I was like 12, 10, 11, something. I don't know. I was really young, and I was like, oh, this is horrible. But nowadays, like when anybody in like WWE, like John Cena followed me the other day, and I was sharing it and stuff like that, shouting like my kids in. They were like, who's that? And like, you should know who this is. We watch him every other day. But
I bet they couldn't see him though.
I think that's the problem. No, but I think it's so weird. Like when you, so that's the other question I was going to ask. What attracted you to Lita? Was it just that kind of seeing her do like that cool kind of stuff? What was the
attraction there for me was, so I, again, my dad's influence. I grew up and I was influenced with a lot of like metal and rock. So it was only a matter of time before I grew up being a wee goth beach, you know what I mean? Like so so my dad influenced my alternative taste and Lita, because at this point in time the only kind of a woman I'd seen on TV. This isn't only like WWE. I'm just talking in general. Like when you're watching like American TV, for example, like the sitcoms and whatnot, you're seeing like the pretty blondes that are tanned. So then when I watched WWE and I saw Lita with the bright red hair and she's doing the lucha style, again something that you'd never seen women doing, and she had the big gargoyle tattoo in her arms coming out, and she's dressing like a punk rocker, and then the infamous thong up to here, you know, and it was just so different for me because like I grew up and I was watching things like Friends and Will and Grace and like all those kind of sitcoms, you know. So you had like a Jennifer Aniston that you're seeing on like TV at this point in time, or even like Buffy, for example. So Sarah Michelle Gellar. So you've got the pretty tan blonde, and then there's Lita, and you're like, wow, like she's right away, she's just so eye catching. And then it helped that not only did she look amazing, and she stood out because she looked amazing, but she could also wrestle, which was so cool. So yeah, that was one of the major reasons why she stood out. And then, not that I'm dissing Trish, like I love Trish. Like I've said this time and time again. Like when she burst onto the scene, like I don't think they were going to recreate that magic ever again. You know, the fitness model turned wrestler. Like I don't think they were ever going to capture that magic again. But yeah, it was just Lita for me just really appealed to the way that I was growing up at that point in time, and it was because I was always a wee weirdo as well. Like I was the wee weirdo at school, the wee weird girl that didn't actually play Barbie. She played X-Men with her Barbies, and she would watch wrestling, and so yeah, it made me feel all right to not be the normal, you know. So it was like you're cool because you're unique. So that's why I liked Lita.
I totally get that. Just saying, there's a bunch of references there, like Buffy, Friends, Will and Grace, that I totally get, but I know there's people that watch this that will not have a clue what any of them mean. Like, they'll be like, what's Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And if you don't know what it is, it's on Amazon. Go watch it. It's great.
An amazing show. Watch it.
Same as Will and Grace. Just get up early and go on Channel 4. It's there. It's good. Cheers, Fraser, all that kind of stuff. They're all there. They're all fun.
90s sitcoms were the best. Like, to this day, I still watch Friends. I've got it like on loop. It's one of my comfort shows, as I call it. And it's my other half. He's demented because I think I've like went through the whole 10 seasons of Friends like twice now, and he's like, oh, sake, like, can we watch something else now? And I'm like, no.
My fiance, she loves it. She got like a Lego thing that's up there, so it sits in like the office bit up there. It's like a Lego the cafe kind of scene, which is
cafe.
She got like that. It's literally right there, and she loves it. Like when we watch it all the time. I don't know why I'm just saying she loves it. I love it as well. It's kind of just it's always been there for me. Growing up as well, it was wrestling. And then waiting for WCW to come on. Friends was on Channel 4.
Yeah.
So when I'd watch that and then put that on, which is showing my age as well, like having to wait for things to come on.
And the thing is as well, like, I totally get all that. It's like you said before, it's like people, they'll be like, one's listening to this and they'll be like, what did they mean they had to wait?
Or like the worst for people, for the young guys that were there around there in our time was waiting almost a year for like a WWE pay-per-view to go to VHS back in the olden days, or DVD. It was like, I can watch that WrestleMania 16, 18 next year. Like I'll get all those references next year.
And it's as well where it'd be like you'd be begging mum and dad like, oh, can we get this in the box office? And they pull up the box office.
And it was you had to phone them up. I always remember my mum lying to me about, I think it was Rebellion, and she was like, oh, it'll be on too late. And then it was years later I found out like it was obviously on at a normal time, and I was just pure like, you lied to me, like really, just as a child, just ruined my life.
Betrayal.
that way, like, and found out some years later, you're like, that really hurt. But 90s sitcoms, if there's people that are like people watch this that are like 18, 19, they're not going to remember them. Go watch them. They're fun.
Oh
They're
yeah, absolutely. Like I'm that obsessed with Friends that my mother-in-law bought me a Friends duvet set because I was like, I just need that Friends duvet set. And my other half was like, we're not getting a Friends duvet set. And then at Christmas rolled up and my mother-in-law walked in, she was like, here you go in the back. It's the duvet set. And it was raging. And I put it on the bed, obviously. And then woke up the next day and he came in and I was like, aye, so it's comfy, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah. he hated to admit that it was actually comfy.
You literally sound just like when my fiance does it. She's dying to get that bedding. I was like, no, the bedding's too far, but she instead of the bedding, she got the makeup that's out just now, like the Friends makeup stuff. She's got like,
I want that so badly. Like so I've got the duvet set, I've got a house coat, and it's a house coat, not a robe for certain people. It's a house coat, and I've got jammies, and it's like all Friends stuff. I've got a notebook. It's like my diary that I'll write in like dates and stuff, and it's Friends. So yeah, and I've also my coffee mug. I had two. One broke. I was gutted, but it was like proper big Central Perk size.
that's the same thing she's got. She's got the mug, she's got the book, she's got jammies.
Yeah.
I need to tell her about the house coat. She doesn't know that, but she's got like...
Yes, get the house coat. It's amazing. It's like got like the big Central Perk sign on the back. It's amazing. But like I've got another coffee mug as well, and it says on it, "Hello, my name is Regina Phalange," and it's like only certain people get that, like when they see me drinking out of it.
I know, like it's like the makeup, the blue lipstick, the Ichiban one. She got that the other day. It came in, and I was like, "Do you need to stop?" Like every couple of days, like, or every couple of weeks, a package will come, and I'm like, "What is in this?" Comes up, and she's like, "Oh, look, that's cool Friends stuff," and I'm like, "Why do you keep buying Friends makeup?" She's like, "I'm not going to use it. I'm just like keeping it, and then if I need to use it, I can." But no, it's turned into like a Friends podcast, but it's a good show if people haven't checked it out. I know people hate it and stuff like that, but it's a fun show. You can a wee bit too much, like with the bedding and stuff like that. I called the line at the bedding, but I know it would be...
No.
I'd be the same. I'd come in, be like, is it comfy? And I'm like, it's comfy. Just leave it, all right? You know how it's going. So what's your favourite wrestling event of all time? What's a event you can be like, this is the one I can watch all the time?
Oh, do you mean like out of like just all of them, or do you mean like there's like, for example, for me it's Royal Rumble and Mania are the ones that I have to watch live.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have to watch those live. I just have to. Whereas the rest of them I can kind of I'll just catch them the next day. So, but if we're talking in terms of like all-time favorite pay-per-view or whatever, I always say WrestleMania is my favorite to watch because there's always a cool moment with Mania, and I say it time and time again. Edge versus Foley is my all-time favorite Mania match. So,
I would agree on it. I've never met anybody that likes Edge versus Foley as much as me because it's just it's a perfect match. It builds into the ECW stuff, and it's like, it's just great. It's the whole build for it, keeping it going when Terry Funk came back and all that kind of stuff was just brilliant.
The storytelling was brilliant.
It just goes under people's radar, and it's like it's the lead up to that. Then you've got the ECW One Night Stand Part 2, whatever it was called, and it's like an insane storyline for months, like at the time, which is long-term storytelling, which sometimes falls through the bat at the minute. But it was cool. I totally agree. I think that's it probably is one of my favourite like kind of matches. I'm doing a watch along on my channel just now where like every match, 5 matches I've picked. I left that one out because I was like, nobody's going to like this, nobody's going to pick this one, but I've watched it myself like 4 times this week already because it gives me that WrestleMania feel. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, I know it's WrestleMania season, you know, when I see Edge and Foley going through a flaming table, you know.
And the final question we always keep that I didn't send over to you, I don't send this to anybody, is I'll give you my example after the question. So if you could replace yourself or replace somebody or add yourself to any match in history, what would it be? So mine would be, I'd replace Owen Hart against Bret Hart, SummerSlam '94 in that blue steel cage, because I think that's my favourite match ever because it's just so good.
That's a very good one that you've just gave me there. Very good. Like, I'm trying to think. Because there's a lot of matches that I really like. I need to think. Right, so can I do it where it's like a women's match and then a men's match?
It's your question. You can do what you want with it. You can do both.
So, like, one that I would like to do in all the history was, like, if I could have been in the Trish versus Lita match where it was the main evented Raw, if I could replace any of them in that match, because I'm no fuss, as long as I get to say, like, you know, like, I was in that match, you know. So yeah, maybe I'll be Lita and I'll just, like, I'll do that scorpion neck, you know, with the suicide dive, like that, because I would do that anyway if I tried to do a dive, you know. So so yeah, I think I would replace Lita in that match because that'd be awesome. Because, yeah, if I tried to do that dive, I would do the exact same thing. But another one which would make people go, like, what? Is I would actually replace Rey Mysterio in the custody ladder match with Eddie Guerrero for Dominic.
That's such a weird one, but I don't know why they don't bring that into WWE either. Nobody ever talks about that custody ladder match in the storyline. I'm like,
it's
stories. I love that one.
It's the fact that, like, years later I found out that they never told Dominic that it was just a storyline. Like, they made that poor wee boy think this was an actual custody ladder match. And I heard as well that the bit where he jumps in the ring and he's trying to shake Eddie off the ladder, like, that wasn't actually meant to happen. Like, he actually did jump the barrier and try and stop him.
That's such a brilliant, like, trivia as well. Like, imagine, like, being a kid and just, like, this match is really fun. Like, who's going to be my dad? This is like, I need to, like, go in and try and save my life here, which would be insane to, like, to think about.
I couldn't stop laughing. It's like, I recently rewatched that match. Throughout that match, they keep cutting to Dominic, and Dominic's just got, like, this look of horror in his eyes every single time. And it's swings and roundabouts, though, you know, the upside, like, he's actually on WWE now, so he can defend himself in a custody battle, you know.
So, if I'm going to go watch that tonight and pick up some Chavo Guerrero stuff as well, because I've never heard anybody say that he's one of their tops, so I'm going to go check him out. People keep saying I should, and then I'm going to watch that custody one with that trivia you've just told me, because I really need to watch it from that perspective to see the fear in the kids' eyes, which is weird to say. I've got kids, it's fine. When you see fear, it's funny. But what would be the first match you would get somebody to go see of you? What would you like to be the first match that somebody sees of you? Where would you like them to?
Oh, wow. So one of them would be my I Do match with Sammy Joe at Fierce Females, because that was the birth of Toasty. And because everyone always asks me about Toasty, and it's like, if you want to see the origins of Toasty, it's that match. And it was essentially an I Quit match, but wedding themed. So it's like one of the craziest matches that I ever got to do, and as far as I'm aware, it's like the first ever of its kind. So it was pretty awesome being the first ever of something. And just me and Sammy Joe had a blast with that match. It was a right laugh. It was the right mix of drama and comedy, especially when I pulled out a toaster, like, so, and tried to trap her hand in a toaster. But then other match, I'm trying to think. Probably my Full Tilt Wrestling match with Aisha Raymond. Aisha is someone who's one of my very good friends. I always call her my sis. And that was one of our, like, so we've wrestled each other a good few times now, and but that was like one of the ones where we were very, very proud of, and we got a lot of praise for it. And it was, and funnily enough, like I said to you earlier, Barry, where it was part of 2020, that match. It was in February of last year, so that was when I actually got to show people I could wrestle, and I was like, yeah, and then the world ended, so I was like, ah. So I got to have that cool moment with Aisha where we actually got to not just do character and have the fun with that, but we actually got to show people this other side to us. And I've always got great chemistry with her as well, so there's that. And then just for sentimental value, my triple threat match with myself, Angel Hayes, and Kaylee Ray, and that's just close to my heart because not only was it in my hometown where my friends and family got to see me, but that's 3 generations from the same school. So there's Kaylee, then me, and then me, Angel, and we got to have that cool match in the ring and got to show like the different generations. So that was pretty sweet. I like that.
No, definitely. I would tell people to go check you. I think all your matches have been pretty good. I've been watching the stuff on ICW. I've watched the stuff that you've already mentioned. I've been on like a binge since you said you were coming on. So I've been watching like a ton of them, and it's like such a. I'd say you're probably up there as one of the top Scottish women wrestlers. I always say that when people come on, and everybody thinks I'm being like just saying that because they're on, and I'm like, no, literally, there's so many good wrestlers in Scotland. It's hard to be like there's a list that's like one, there's like a bunch of them, two, there's a bunch of them as well. But I definitely put you up there. It's great to kind of see Scotland being so good, especially in the women's division. And I would like to thank you for being on. I've got your links and stuff like that below in the description. People will hopefully go check you out. And when you're back, obviously wrestling and stuff like that, let me know. I'll share your stuff and stuff like that as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
What I'll do is I'll end the recording here and I'll tell you the little aftermath kind of stuff that we need to tell you.